Portion of today's show is brought to you by Health Diagnostic Laboratory, Inc.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Well, Tuesdays are always educational around here because we have the folks from Health Diagnostic Laboratories here to talk about our health, and Dr. Tara Dahl is back with us now. Love when you're here because we're able to get some new information about, number one, testing that we need to do, especially as women, and number two, just general questions about our health. So we were going to talk about omega-3 because we hear about how important omega-3 is. It's something that we need to get from our diet or from supplements, right?
Right.
Because your body doesn't make it itself?
Your body doesn't make it.
Okay.
And, you know, 30 years ago, we got a lot of omega-3 in our diet, but now because we have so much omega-6 in our diet, we just have a very low amount of omega-3, so it's even more important to
What
really
does
pay attention.
omega-3 do for us? Why is it important?
So omega-3 is really important for a lot of things. I mean, we find that when people have a low omega-3, it's actually associated with increased risk for heart disease, actually independently of anything else. So
really?
At Health Diagnostic Laboratory, we've actually developed an assay that can determine how much omega-3 is actually being incorporated into your red blood cells. So if you tell me you eat a lot of salmon, and then I do your test, and it's, you know, in the really, really low category, then you're either not eating very good quality fish, or you're not really telling me the truth that you're really eating what you say you are.
Or maybe I just happen to be the person that needs a little bit more,
you
so I
need
have to
more.
look at
Exactly.
supplements.
So omega-3 is good for our skin, it's good for our hair.
Right.
I find that high doses of omega-3 in some patients helps their arthritis. I mean, there's just a lot of things that having omega-3 can be beneficial for.
It kind of helps lubricate everything and moisturize.
It's good for us overall, right? And there's very little harm to omega-3. The American Heart Association usually recommends at least a gram a day for people who've had heart disease because of the benefits that we see with that. So it's, you know, it makes sense. And we don't really know what our levels are. I mean, you don't always know. And it's really neat to be able to test it and be able to tell, okay, I'm really on the low side, so I need to increase my intake of fatty fish. So salmon, herring, oysters, things like that. Or, you know, consider taking an omega-3 supplement.
Yeah, I've never heard of a specific testing for that because, you know, I'm a real believer in you are what you eat, and, you know, I try to make healthy choices when it comes to what I eat. But I always say, you know, at the end of the day, very few of us are able to get enough whole foods that we're getting all of the nutrients that we actually need.
Right.
So to be able to test for that, for something as important as omega-3 is pretty cool. When you talk about supplements, it kind of depends on the type of supplements that you get.
Right.
And you have to be choosy about it.
Right, and let's talk about that for omega-3 because this is really important because people go out and buy fish oil because fish oil is what has omega-3. But there's a lot of products out there, and what's critically important is that you not look at the front of the bottle that says 1,000 milligrams, but that you turn it around and look at the back. And what you want is the EPA and DHA to be of whatever dose we need. So it's usually at minimum 1,000, but people who have really low levels or maybe who have really, really high triglycerides might need up to 4,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA.
Oh, that's so confusing.
Yeah,
so
you really have to look at that. It is, and I think one thing that's nice about this index that we do is if you're taking a product over the counter, a diet supplement, and you don't really know if it's a good product or not, if you get your test back and it's really low, I would, you know, try a different brand.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of helps.
But the great thing is we can go in, see you, see the folks at HDL, have the test, and then know where we stand.
Exactly.
For that. Not to mention all the other, you know, things that we can find out from our blood.
Right. And then when you recheck it, you'll be able to see whether whatever you've done has made a difference. So if you decide, you know what, I'm going to start eating fish 2 or 3 times a week instead of whatever I was doing before, or more than that, sushi or something, to get the higher amounts, and then you can check it again and see that you've actually improved, and then that makes you feel like what you're doing is really a benefit.
Yeah.
So.
And the supplements, again, you have to know what you're looking for.
Right.
And you're not a big fan of multivitamins. So if you see a multivitamin that maybe has omega-3 in it,
it's usually a very, very small amount.
Is that why you don't like multivitamins?
You know, the reason I don't like multivitamins is I feel like it's like shooting from the hip and just taking a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I would much prefer that people eat healthy foods, that they eat the rainbow. I like to say it that way. Green leafy vegetables, blueberries, things that are sort of naturally healthy for us. When you get supplements in a bottle, it's not necessarily giving you benefit. In fact, some of the data on antioxidants, like vitamin E, for example, have actually been shown to increase risk and not have benefit at all when taken in pill form. So it's always better to get it in food. And with multivitamins, you're just taking this huge dose of a whole lot of things that we probably don't need half of it.
But we can come to you, we can get tested, and
then you
know
specifically target what you need. Right.
I love that.
Yes, I mean, if your vitamin D is low, you take vitamin D. If your B12 is low, you can take B12. And those are the ones that I treat treat a lot of because people tend to be low in both of those. If your omega-3 is low, you can consider
really
an
like
omega-3.
the omega-3 test too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come back in and we can do like a,
Okay.
is it like a vitamins blood screening? Is that what you call it? Can you do a whole panel?
It's actually, well, we test for a lot of different vitamin deficiencies. So you can do vitamin D, you can do B12. The omega-3 index is a panel in itself, and it's measuring how much omega-3 is actually being incorporated into our red blood cells. Okay. And that's actually different than some other commercial omega-3 tests out there that some labs offer where they measure just the plasma level of omega-3. But say this morning you took 4 or 5 fish oil tablets, that test would come back high because you just consumed all this fish oil. Whereas our test, regardless of what you had this morning or yesterday, it doesn't matter. It's going to test what your long-term omega-3 level really is. So it's a truer measure of omega-3.
I'm telling you, everyone needs to do this. Okay, you can get more information about the Health Diagnostic Laboratory by going to their website. It's hdlabinc.com. You can also reach them at that number that you see there on your screen. And remember to talk to your own physician to request the HDL test. And the HDL folks will be here every Tuesday to talk about your health. We learn something new every week. And we are back with more broadcast in just a moment.